This video is going to cover the movement patterns of the Bone Dragons in Castlevania 4. It actually turns out that they are not random, so I'll be going over kind of what they do and why in this video. In the bottom left here I have the Bone Dragon position, so they've got a set script that they follow, and there's no RNG to it, they just follow the script flat out. I'll be going a little bit slow. So the number starts at 0. And then once the script starts, you'll see it turn into a positive number. So the script starts at 64. And the numbers on the Bone Dragon position in the bottom left there correspond to what he does. To give you an idea of what the numbers mean, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to force the position value to be a certain number. So I'm going to make it 0. And if you watch what he does, when I force the number to be 0, he goes straight up. He can't move. If I increase the number, make it 10, he'll dip down a little bit. 20, he dips down a bit more. If I make it 64, that's straight. And if I make it 128, he'll go straight down. Now I'm going to change the value to 128 right now. It actually takes him a little bit of time to get to that position. But that gives you an idea of what the numbers correspond to. So I'm going to disable that, let him go back into the routine. And I'm going to exit and return to the room here. So now that you kind of know what the numbers correspond to, in the bottom right I've got a movement pattern. So that shows what he does. So this is where he's going. So he's going to start out straight. So that corresponds to 64. And then the next thing that's going to happen is that the number's going to count down to 32, then it'll count up to 112, and then count down to 48, and so on and so on. Now this is a little confusing, so remember 0 means he's going up, and 128 or a high number means he's going down, so counting down means he goes up, and counting up means he goes down. So just understand that it's flipped like that. So right now the number is going to count down to 32, so he'll go up a little bit. So then once the number hits 32, it's going to count up to 100. It's going to start counting up to 112. Now the number is counting higher, but notice that he's still going up for a little bit. The reason for that is that the head is always moving towards what the current value is. So although the number is going to count up to 112 eventually, 38 is still a higher number position than where he's currently at. So what that means in real time is that he's kind of going to go up a little bit and then he'll eventually dip down. So we'll kind of take like a lazy path down. So we'll go up a little bit, and then eventually the numbers will get higher than his current position, so then he'll start to dip back down. And then once we hit 112, we're going to start counting down to 48, which means he'll go up. But it's going to take a while for him to kind of change his direction. But eventually he will. And then once we hit 48, then we go back up to 112. And then from there, we're going to count all the way down to 0. So 0 is straight up. So he'll get there eventually, and this is going to be probably about the highest point he'll ever be in the routine. It's up here. and then from 0 to 80, and then from 80 down to 64, and then up to 128, and then back to 0, so it means it'll go up again, and there the routine goes back to 64, and that is a full loop. Actually, that's probably about the highest it'll be, or thereabouts. So yeah, that's the loop. So the loop starts as soon as his routine is loaded, and his routine loads pretty much like as soon as you see him move. So we'll start out straight and then start moving. So that's the routine. All of the Bone Dragons in the game share this same routine. So what it means for speedrunning is that there's no RNG to worry about. As long as you do the same thing from the start of the screen to where you need to be, it will always be consistent. As far as the shots go, if you're interested in that, there's two values that he shoots at. So in the bottom left there I've got the shot timer. Shot timer is going to start at 0, and it's a really simple pattern. It just counts from 0 to 255 and then back to 0. And he'll shoot when the counter gets to a certain number. So when the counter hits 64, he'll start to shoot. So the counter hitting 64 is the trigger, and then he'll shoot a few frames later. You'll actually see the animation a few frames later. And then the next time I'll shoot is when he hits 192. So we hit that, so a few frames later he'll start to shoot. So that's the routine. It's completely fixed. All of the Bone Dragons in the game share it, and yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about that.